In today's class, I'm going to be showing you how to install WordPress on a live server very easily. Okay, if you remember the last time we installed WordPress, we did it on a local server, that was SAMP server, and we had to get down some database credentials, create database users and passwords, and all that process. But this time I'm just going to be showing you how to install it with just a few clicks when you have a live server. Okay, so let's go straight into the practical. All right, so the first thing you need to do is you need to log into the cPanel of the account. So that is, if you have gotten your web hosting and your domain name, you will have access to your cPanel. Okay, so once you are logged in, scroll down. This is what the cPanel looks like. Almost any cPanel, this is what it looks like. So scroll down to the bottom, you'll find this Softaculous apps installer. For some cPanel it may be different. You may not see it as Softaculous, you may see it as a Fantastico, but most of the time it's always Softaculous apps installer. Okay, so now what you need to do is you need to select WordPress. Okay, so let's go select WordPress. So this is the WordPress area. So what we need to do now, you click on the install now button. You can see it, so just click on the install now button. It will take you to a form where you specify the details of the WordPress application you want to install. Okay, so now you choose the version. Most of the time you should just take the latest version, so that's what I recommend you do. Now the installation URL. Okay, so now you purchased a domain, so the domain will show up here. So make sure it's the HTTPS protocol, and I'm getting about 4 domains here. That is because I have more than 2 hosting accounts inside my client account. So but this is the domain I'll be using, so just select the domain you're going to be using. Okay, now it's asking us in which directory. Okay, now if you are installing on the main domain, okay, like for example you just want to install it on let me say my website.com, and you want people to see your website when they visit this exact URL, you should use the exact URL. But there are cases where you may want to install in another directory. Maybe you want to create another installation for something different. Okay, maybe you want to create a course area, or maybe an area for news, and you need people to visit and see something like, okay, my website.com/news. So you should just specify the directory in this last box. Okay, so that's just what it means. But if you want to install it on the root domain itself, that is when people visit the domain itself, that is what they will see, you should leave this place blank. Okay, but if you want to install it in another subdomain or subfolder, you should choose the directory here. Okay, now this website is already something hosted on it, so I'm just going to install it in a folder called test. Okay, so we'll be able to access our website when we visit legalaccessorieswarehouse.com/test. okay, so let me just call this test, and I'll call it test install. That's for the site description, site name and site description. All right, you can skip this. Now the login credentials for your WordPress account, let's just use admin, and let's use a password for now. Now your admin email, okay, this is the email you are going to be using to access your website, just in case you forget the password or things like that. So make sure it's something you have access to. So let me just use my email on that. All right, now select language English. Okay, now it's asking us to install some other plugins which you may need, basically maybe for security. You can skip those, you can always install that later. All right, Now select theme. You can skip this too, you don't need to make it complicated from the start. Let's just install it in its simplest form. All right, so once you fill all of this, if you notice, you don't have to go through creating databases, creating users and all of that. This handles everything for you, straight to the point. So once you do that, the last thing you need to do is to just click install. So click on install and it will begin. So once the installation is done, this is what you will see. Congratulations, the software was installed successfully. Straight, and it tells us where WordPress was installed, and look at the URL. If you notice, you can see, and here is the admin URL itself. Okay, so you see the website domain /test/wp admin. So if I visit this URL now, so let me copy this copy link address and let me paste it here. So if I visit this URL, I'm going to see my WordPress installation right there. Okay, so you can see in less than 2 minutes I've installed WordPress. So that is the good thing a live server does for you. It makes most of your process very easy. So that is just the simplest way to install WordPress on a live server. So you can see, and everything is functional just the way it looks on the local server. I myself, I prefer building WordPress, building websites on a live server. It saves me from any issues I may encounter. Okay, let's access the admin area. So WP admin, let's see if that works. So you can see the form shows up, so it's working and everything is working fine. So you can see I don't have to worry about database or database username or database password or permission issues. The server has handled everything for me. So that is just the easiest way to install WordPress on a live server. All right, so in our next class or next any of the next classes we'll be having, I'm going to show you how you can migrate your WordPress installation from a local server to a live server. So you know, you might have built something on a local server and then now you have your live server and you're like, what next? How do I move? How do I migrate? I'm going to be showing you how to do that in the next class. So stay tuned and thank you for being in this class. Goodbye.